Hello there, this is Tom, and welcome to a special build. This month's Four Horsemen Invitational build is to turn a Hot Wheels Arkham Asylum Batmobile into a Star Wars vehicle. Let's have some fun. When I looked at this Batmobile, I immediately thought Starfighter. Maybe an X-Wing, maybe something else. Originally, I wanted to build a B-Wing or something equally asymmetrical, but chose instead to go with something original, but true to the visual design aesthetic of the original Star Wars trilogy. For those three movies, A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, the spaceships were largely based on World War II naval ships and aircraft. They kit-bashed model airplanes and other loose bits, what came to be known as greebles, to construct all the spacefaring vehicles and star bases. Their primary option was styrene plastic, so there was a familiar metal-plated look to most of the models, from the smallest starfighters to the Death Star. I grabbed a few extra castings, but soon realized these weren't the castings I was looking for, and moved along to working with just the Batmobile. Getting down to business, I used my Easy Rig, a creation by Eddie the Godfather Papandrea, to safely drill my Batmobiles. I did proceed with two of them to give myself options. The design is interesting because the fenders are lined with the plastic interior, so they're challenging to separate. But when you do, you notice a two-seat cockpit, an elongated series of engines, a basic plastic base, and an exoskeleton-like casting that shares the outer skin with the chrome underneath. I also drilled open two seaplanes. They had jet engines similar to the Star Wars land speeder, and I was considering using them. So all four go into the citrus strip. I realized the scales were too different from one another. Despite a few stacks and mock-ups, I just felt that unless I was going to create a much larger space vessel, I had to cut my losses and save those two pairs of wings for another build. I grabbed a few options for my junk drawers, as well as some styrene, wood, and other random things that had the potential to be a greeble on whatever I ended up building. First things first, I used my jewelry saw to cut the nose off the Batmobile. It was just too bulky and squat for what I envisioned. For the elongated nose, I cut wood from a picture frame. I find that using wood as the mold provides support for longer pieces and gives me something to build on or cut into. I had to cut and file the wood to fit the cockpit of the casting. Then it was time for wings. After shaping the wings with a single piece of styrene, I found a groove between the interior plastic and exterior metal fenders. This was key to building the ship in two main parts, so I can save putting the glass back into the cockpit after I complete painting. USB charging cables often go bad after a while. I always found their look interesting, so I saved them, along with my corded earbuds, which provided lines for the nose piece. I cut this USB plug to create the engines for the spaceship. That's no moon. And this build would have no screws. So I had to build in tandem until everything could be glued together for good. My inspiration for this ship was also a World War II airplane, the Messerschmitt Me-262. But I still wanted to stay rooted in the world of Incom, the manufacturer of the X-Wing, so things remained more squared off than the actual German fighter plane. Here's the two pieces and the general concept of the T-57B, and if I slow this down, you can see another design addition to the belly of the ship. To make the elongated laser cannons, I used a plastic arm from a building set I picked up at Goodwill and cut an aluminum ring from a K&S mix pack in half. And then came the last part, what I nicknamed laser nubbins. The first laser nubbin went on without issue, but the second one gave me grief. And then the first one fell off. I had to drill pilot holes in the aluminum semicircles to secure them. I added another spork to the top side of the wings, a move that will come back to haunt me. I also covered the wood elongated nose with styrene strips, which provided the right dimension and surface. I used Bondo to seal gaps and other undesired lines. Things were starting to come together, but that spork on top of the wings changed the fit, creating a gap that showed especially on the side pods. But in order to remove the spork, I'd likely have to remove the wings and essentially start over. Now I know you can't unsee that, but I honestly think it worked out in the end. I went with white primer paint. In the original Star Wars trilogy, most of the ships were white or a very light gray to work against the dark background of space. I added paper-thin styrene panels to the wings. On the X-Wing, there's actually gaps on the inside of the wings, but I only had a few millimeters to work with. Once I do a little weathering, those contours will show up nicely. I considered using this mix of green and gray on the fuselage of the ship, but chose instead to just stick to the cockpit. To cover the remaining gaps, I used red and yellow tape, which was a common color with the Rebel Alliance. I glued it down just to be sure. And now, two become one, as I make the final bond between the parts. No turning back now. On to dirtying things up. I was very timid when it came to using blackwash out of fear of making things too dark. I would sponge on blackwash, dry brush it thin, and then wipe it with paper towels over and over again, trying to show the wear and tear and the burnishing of the jet engines. It's pretty cool how the Rebel Alliance symbol looks so much like a spork. So this T-wing fighter is part of the famous Spork Squadron. They could handle anything. For the stand, I used an old CD case, a clear plastic tube, and another spork head to act as sort of a docking collar. It was all starting to come into focus. We began in Gotham, and now we're out of this world. An almost fully restored T-57B T-wing fighter, reporting for duty, representing the Spork Squadron, courtesy of Spork Syndicate of the planet Earth. This is my build for the August 2023 Four Horsemen Die-Cast Invitational. As always, a big thank you to the Four Horsemen for providing the die-cast customizing community with these opportunities to connect and showcase our work. For Spork Syndicate, this is Tom. May the Force be with you, always.